Okay, so yeah, so we started recording. So you've missed all the brilliant and amazing things I've just said.
The transition towns, fantastic stuff you just saying.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So no, what I was going to do is very quickly just kind of like give the background as to what we're doing here this evening. So the idea behind these climate emergency centres is basically to provide a kind of a centre somewhere within a town where people can come to talk about this kind of thing, where people can come to learn, where we can kind of run kind of community projects and things like that. So hopefully most of you will have seen the stuff that I've written about it. I've done a little bit on the website and I've put some stuff on Facebook. But I mean, I think, you know, all these kind of things are very much open to interpretation. And I would assume, Phoenix, that every town does it in a slightly different way. So really it's about finding out what's right for rugby. So we've come into this with a, you know, very, very open-minded. All we're saying is really, look, this is something that could be a really good thing to do, because you know, I think rugby is, you know, we probably don't number sort of in the most progressive towns in England. I don't think we're particularly bad either. But you know, I think there's a lot of people are very busy here. People have got lots of things going on in their lives, and from what I've seen, you know, there's not many people that have got time to really kind of make a difference when it comes to, you know, how do we approach the issue of climate change in the town. So my personal feeling is that if we were able to have something that was a little bit more central in the town and really kind of starting to raise these issues and put them up there for people to see, and also put in this community action forward so that people can start to engage a lot more and see that people really are doing things in our town, that will then start to inspire and motivate people. And as I say, there's all kinds of other things that could be done with this type of centre as well. So I think some of you may have also come across this idea of a kind of a similar kind of community project, something a bit like Fargo Village in Coventry that's been talked about in rugby recently. There's the possibility that other things could be wrapped into this as well. So as I say, it's very, very open, and the purpose of tonight is really just to start this discussion off, you know, see what people think, see what ideas come up, hear from Phoenix, hear what other people have done in different towns, and you know, hopefully we'll get the ball rolling on this and we can actually get something started up. How exciting would that be? So I think that's probably enough from me. If I hand back to Phoenix, and then I think Phoenix will do a little bit of introductions, however you want to run it, really. Okay.
Brilliant, Alex. Really fantastic. And Transition Town setting up loads of good projects all around the country. Been going a long time. So what we'd like to do, just what's really powerful is just to, if we go around the screen, just briefly, people say their name and any particular group or project they're involved in town, or any skill they might like to offer. So for example, hello, my name's Phoenix. I'm working with the Climate Emergency Centre projects, and one of my skills is networking. We've got a large group here, great turnout, so let's just keep it brief. But if we go around the screen, and if anyone else notes as well any of the groups, or if you mention a group, you know, sustainable rugby, whatever it is, put it into the chat so that we can do that. So I'll just facilitate passing around that. Someone's taking minutes, are they?
I'm happy to scribble things down, Phoenix, as we go.
Okay, and then once I've finished my presentation, 20 minutes, half an hour on the slides, who's going to facilitate from rugby? And if you're taking notes, Alex, or
what I'll do, Phoenix, is I was going to we're going to hand over to either Jerry or Dan from the council, who are then going to give their a little bit, and then I don't mind, or yourself or someone, we can just run a few questions. You know, we'll see.
Right. All right.
I think we'll keep it. Yeah.
Cool. So let's go around the screen, and that's great. Jerry and Dan are here from the council. We had a couple of councillors on from Durham last week, very enthusiastic. So over to Michelle, just if you want to mention any group or any skill as we go around, anything you want to say, over.
Hi there, thanks Phoenix, good to meet you. Yeah, so I'm Michelle. I think I was one of the sort of small group that at the founder forming meetings of Transition Town Rugby with Alex, Becker, Carrie, Jerry and Neil Sanderson, and probably a few other people. So it's great to see all that, how the Pleasant Herb Gardens literally has blossomed, and it looks amazing. And then myself, being part of Transition Town Rugby, I'm also a stall holder at the sustainable market occasionally, because for the last 4 years, I've also been an ambassador for Tropic, which is a double carbon offset company that produces vegan and organic self-care for all the family. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, over to Becker. Fantastic, Michelle.
Hi everyone, I'm Becker. I'm involved in Transition Town, and my main job is working for 5 Acre Community Farm. So that's a community supported agriculture scheme. So one of my skills would be growing. And I've also set up Rugby Busters a few years ago. So that's got like over 700 members now.
Brilliant. Over to Nicola Fallon.
It's Nicola and Anne here, friend. What are we? We're in the Green Christian group, and I think we like to work with other groups. So we've been involved supporting Climate Cafe, and we met the other night with the others for green drinks, because we were talking about how we're going to approach what's going on in rugby with Cemex, the concrete people. That's networking. Okay, that's our main skills.
Do you pop your websites in, folks? You just mentioned, Michelle mentions the great ones, Becker, the community farm, what you just mentioned there, green drinks and the Christian group. Mark, over to Mark.
Hiya, yeah, I'm Mark Thomas. I've set up a little Facebook group called Improving Rugby Town. So basically it's my sort of own personal views on the town, and then hopefully other people will expand on that. And tonight I'll be talking about the possible chance of sort of extending the idea of the sustainability hub and creating a creative hub as well.
Brilliant. Over to Louise.
Hi, I'm Louise. I have a business in town, a hair salon, but I co-manage the Rugby Independence page, which was purely set up to promote things that go on within the town. I also co-manage the Rugby Collective, which is a group of business owners where we are aimed at working collaboratively with the main stakeholders in the town to get help and support, get projects off the ground. So I'm interested in finding out more about Transition Rugby Town. So it's been brilliant for me to just hear the opening. I've also taken a seat on the board of Rugby First, and I think Linda is in here as well, who's from Rugby First, in as much as what we want to do is try and work collaboratively to get big projects off the ground. So if we're all saying the same thing and all applying pressure, it should help.
Carrie, fantastic. Carrie.
Hello, I think I know a lot of people in this room, but there's some that I don't, which is always nice. So yeah, I work with Transition Town, work on the Pleasance Herb Garden, also Warwickshire Climate Alliance. I can see Martin in the room. And I guess, what am I good at? Gardening and probably sums as well, maths.
Over to Arta Talex. Unmute Arta Talex or Chris, sorry.
Hi, okay, okay. It's Art at the Alex, but it's all run together. I'm Chris Pegler. I co-own Art at the Alex with Steve Davis, who's across the table from me listening in. We are an arts hub, and we were also the scene of the Climate Change Cafe at the end of April, which was very good. I was previously involved in sustainability markets, so that's how I first met Alex and Becker and some of the others. I'm interested in sustainability. I'm particularly interested in reuse and repurposing. And I'm interested in creativity and anything that happens in rugby that can help us to be a more arty and creative space. Because I think it's huge potential in this town, because it may be small, but it's growing rapidly, which means lots of new people are coming in without preconceived ideas even.
Oh, Mark?
I'm Mark Hammond from Rugby Friends of the Earth and a repairer at the Repair Cafe.
Jerry? You need to unmute, Jerry. Jerry, can you?
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm a local councillor, Rugby Borough Council, involved with transition from the early days. I also get involved in transition nationally across different parts of the country as well. And as Neil, who's a fellow councillor, knows, that we're now sitting on the Town Centre Regeneration Working Party. And it just so happens by default or something went wrong, but I'm now going to be chairing it. So this could be quite an interesting little experience, really. But there is, yeah, so I look forward to the discussion.
Over to Chelsea. It's great, Jerry.
Hiya, I run Mrs. Lovett's Bakery in Rugby. I've just started trading on the market with CJ's Events, and I started the petition that's been going around for the indoor market idea.
Ooh, right, Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda from Rugby First. So we are the business improvement district company for Rugby Town Centre. Really excited about working collaboratively with lots of different groups that are here. As you've heard from Louise, she's now on our board, and we're really important to keep lobbying for a change in the town centre and for more money to be spent in the town centre.
Oh, Sue.
Yeah, I'm Sue, a retired teacher who's busy with various voluntary activities, none particularly climate related. Maybe I'm the sort of person that you need to attract to the cafe. I go to the Repair Cafe, I go to Sustainable Saturday, I went to the climate change thing at the Alex. I'm hoping tonight there'll be something that will persuade me, that will, an ongoing project where I'll be able to fit in. I don't organise things, I don't start petitions, but I work hard once those things have got off the ground. Have I expressed myself clearly?
Right, great. Over to Sandy.
So,
hi, it's Neil Sanderson. I'm a councillor for Easton's Ward, which covers half of the town centre. I've been actively involved with Transition Town, the heat resilient herb garden and the Pleasance. I encouraged them to put in for the funding bid to Warwickshire County Council. Also involved with the mound at the end of the Great Central, which is going to be a biodiversity offsetting facility. So yeah, very much involved with the town centre. I'm very much pleased to see so many people along here tonight.
Brilliant. Over to Anna Heta.
Yeah, that's me. Thank you. So my name is Anna Hita, and I work for an organisation called AIDS Alliance, and we basically have multiple local groups across the country, and the rugby local group is called Reaching Out from Rugby, and we do a lot of campaigning, petitioning on climate and refugee related issues. So I think a lot of the skills that I could offer are networking and potentially some coordination, as I speak to a couple of the other people across the country who've done similar things.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Janet.
Janet, basically I'm the green champion for Church Lawford WI, and my skills really are limited because I've got so little time to help, but I'm good at relaying information of what's going on in town out to Church Lawford, the village. So, and I've been a science teacher, so I understand all the science behind it.
Brilliant. Bryn and then Martin. And then Michelle goes back on.
I'm a local parish councillor in Henley and Arden. We've had a local group here in called Henley Climate Action, and we've been doing some work with the South Warwickshire councils on South Warwickshire's climate engagement strategy, and that's been really big over the last few months. We had an event last month in Henley and Arden for a pop-up stand on the high street. A lot of people participated and obviously expressed interest in some projects going forward. And part of that programme is trying to sort of engage and inspire local members and local residents to get involved. So yeah, I work in rugby, so I've got a particular interest in what goes on in the town. So yeah.
Right. Okay, and over to Martin.
Hi, I'm Martin Drew in Bishop's Tatchbrook, just south of Leamington. I started a thing called TRAC, Tatchbrook Residents Action on Climate Change, which is now, well, it was started pre-COVID, but then it had obviously a bit of a interlude. The projects we've got, well, I started here, was rewilding and tree planting. I did the rewilding in association with the Warwickshire Wildlife Trust, and we got a grant, well, they got a grant from Severn Trent for the seeds and the scarifiers and all that sort of stuff. And we've also planted a small orchard and several other trees. We plan to plant more trees. I've been trying to get a repair shop off the ground for quite some time, but there's been a woeful lack of enthusiasm, even though it's been on the social. I'm not a social media person, but one of my fellow parish councillors has put it on the social media. Though we have a new councillor, parish councillor, Catherine, who is actually starting, and it's just underway now, an exchange recycle for clothes and things like that. Because we've now got a new facility where we can store things. That was a big problem. We didn't have anywhere to store things. So that's it. I have no idea what my talents are. Other than I'm not very good at organising things, but try to do my best. So that's about it. Oh, and I know Carrick from the Warwickshire Climate Alliance, and I attended the thing at Napton the other week, which was very, very good. I had a whole day there with stands and things, and I attend quite a few of these, so I can pick up tips and things and how other people do it, especially the motivation of fellow residents. That's what I'm interested in, getting rather than doing it all yourself. You know, that's about it. Thank you.
Oh. Okay, I'm just going to get the slideshow up and then share it with you. That's really inspiring, guys, and my job is to get you excited and motivated. This, it never ceases to amaze me, what a great alliance of groups you've got there already. There is so much happening in every town, and I did Durham the other week. It's really inspiring. What I've just heard from you guys, I mean, I could rattle off some of the things I'm trying to highlight there of all those different great groups. But if while we're chatting over the next thing, I'll do the slides, can you pop in a website for any of those great groups that you were talking about, from transition towns to Pleasance Gardens to Green Drinks to Improving Rugby to Warwickshire Climate Alliance to also sustainability markets, Friends of the Earth, repair cafes, regeneration things, so many good groups doing stuff there. Green Champions and the WI. Put a link into the chat. So without too much further ado, let me go over to explaining the slide, share screen. We want to be on that one. So tell me if you can see this when you can see it. So, can we see that? Okay, yeah, we'll be there to share that. Right, where's this one? There. 1 second. Okay, slideshow. Is it big? Can you see it big coming up on your end? Over.
That's good, Phoenix.
Good, thanks. Yeah.
All right. So what's to say? Hello, my name's Phoenix. That's my nickname. Pete Phoenix. I've been doing eco community centres for about 30 years, since the Rio Earth Summit. It's kind of my passion, you could say, to get community centres together, particularly with an environmental flavour, particularly focused on solutions and what we can do. So during lockdown, I put about 30 years of knowledge down into a climate emergency centre handbook, how to set up a CEC in 10 steps. And we pushed it all around a lot of networks in the last 30 years. And also transition towns, Friends of the Earth, Extinction Rebellion, Greenpeace, as many different contacts as we could. And it seemed to be an idea as time has come, because from doing the first one in a big old home base in Ilford, that we got on a 2-year meanwhile lease, I'll explain that in a bit, and packed it with all different sorts of activities and events and talks and workshops, indoor, secondhand recycle, upcycle market, local transition town groups came in and a new one set up there. The idea went off, and I'm going to go through the slides which explains it more formally and what the process is, but I'm going to try and give you a little bit more from the heart and enthusiastic at the beginning here. It spread in the idea. I think a lot of people after lockdown wanted community spaces, and it really spread really fast, basically. And suddenly there were 3 or 4 or 5 came together. There was Staines got offered a building by the council, an old Toys R Us, but it wasn't going to be open after 7, so they kept trying, and they got given by the council an old William Hill betting shop that became the Talking Tree. All of these centres are independent and autonomous. They call themselves what they want. We ask that they say they're part of the Climate Emergency Centre in some of their material, social media, and the rest, and be an active part of the network and feedback in. But other groups, there was Lewis was one of the early ones down around near in Brighton visiting now. They got given a shop by the council, opened by the mayor, and had that for quite a while, and then apparently the roof fell in. And then I've just had a really great story. A few months ago, they've been given a 3-year lease on a 3-storey grade 2 listed building. So it's just a couple of the success stories, and there's now 22 physical centres around the country and about another 20 teams like yourselves setting up. So let's go through a bit of the slides. I'll tell a few more stories along the way, particularly the success stories and what's gone on. And there we go. One back. Okay. So, we're building the infrastructure for a sustainable future, one building at a time. We're creating a network of spaces that help each other, mutual aid support, focus particularly on community-led solutions to the environmental and social crisis. This isn't just about the environment or green things, it's about the social situations and community, it's environment and community. A lot of communities know the solutions, they know the problems very, very well, and if you give them a space and the time and facilitate people's assemblies and meetings, they can come back with ideas about the solutions. I'll tell you a few stories on that in a bit. Some councils really looking forward to engaging more on what people want. So the Climate Emergency Centre's come from, like I said, 30 years of grassroots community centres since the Rio Earth Summit, and we put it all into the handbook. What RCC, it has a solutions focus. It's about people and planet. It's local inclusive, get local people involved. It's about being an active part of the network. Like I said before, it's all autonomous and they name themselves, but we ask that you put part of the CC network. It really is about helping each other across the network accelerate and upscale getting these spaces. So as a network, we help each other share ideas, documents, information. One group will say, what are you doing on health and safety or banking or insurance, or who do you talk to in the council, or whatever it is. I'm just staying at someone else's house at the moment, just to be some background. It's, so next one then, hi guys, I'm just doing a Zoom. You all right? Nice to see you, you all right? So this CEC, what do they do? This is kind of the list. It's one of the things in the handbook of a whole load of different things you can do in an empty building, a vacant property, of which all of us in all of our communities can see so many. And the more we can reuse vacant property for these, so much can happen. It's good for the local community, it's good for the environment, it's good for the economy. I'll tell a few stories later on Swindon, which has brought a lot of life back to the high street. So these CCs designed to engage the wider community, get an alliance of groups together and work on a lot of things. You can do everything from talks, have a read of some of the things there, but they can do talks, workshops, meetings, cinema nights. Just saw an amazing one at the Seaford Climate Emergency Centre today. They've got a mini cinema with a red curtain and a little TV and about 4 seats, and they're doing environment films. But all of these different things you can do in a space, cafes, information, getting together, whatever it is. Repair cafes, bike repair, tool library. It depends on the size and shape of the space you get and the energy and what you want to do. So there's some ideas. But it's up to you guys, what you want to put into your space. Get excited. A lot of people have got dreams of these projects they want to do, but they haven't got the spaces. Work with existing groups that are already in town and bring them together. So the first one there was in Ilford, in a former home base, massive old hangar. But the other ones, all different shapes and sizes of buildings here, from the Lewis one there, I think the third one along, that's Swindon. Talking Tree was an old betting shop. Abingdon Carbon Cutters, they've got a space in the basement. It's good to be on the high street. It's good to get high footfall. I think the last one was a department store in Taunton that gave them a temporary space. First one, there's Guildford, very, very amazing example with all sorts of solutions and projects in there. Got a lot of support, got their working groups set up early. So the practical details, you know, this is the nub of the handbook that we found out and pumped it all over networks around the country. But you can set up a climate emergency centre as a not-for-profit company or a community interest company or a charitable or charity. But you basically have to be a not-for-profit. And if you get a privately owned building from a developer or private owner as a not-for-profit or charity, you use a meanwhile lease, which means you look after it. It's the nub of the whole thing, really. You get it on a meanwhile lease, which means you look after it for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, maybe 5 years. And the owner can save up to 100% on the business rates. All those empty buildings are paying empty building business rates. And sometimes some of those, if it's a private owner, they'll choose to donate, make a charitable contribution to help set up your project. So I think I've got to zip a couple on here. I have to rearrange the slide, but this is the explanation of how the process goes there. This is the basic example on the maths of it. If a building owner is paying up to £100,000 a year on 3-storey empty office block, the CEC obtains, if you're a charity, you automatically get 80% off the business rates. That's passed on the owner. The owner then pays the outstanding 20% of the rates. But optionally, the owner can make a charitable contribution to the project. The CEC gets space for the community. The owner saves a lot of money. The council gets to stay there and work with a group on, on the climate emergency. 300 councils have actually declared climate emergency. So it's really great that they, can have a space they can work with. And a lot of councils have been engaging a lot. About 8 out of the 22 centres have been given by councils. The rest are private groups. So here's some of the process. You set up a legal entity. So you set up working groups, which is basically legal entity, whether you set up as a not-for-profit or charity, outreach and networking, building the core team, building the alliance of groups, relationship with the council, and the last one there, finding a building, physically getting around on a bike, looking around. It sounds like you've got councillors in the room and other people from the bid. They might be able to help you find a space a bit quicker. That was one of the community meetings at Ilford, the solutions exhibition in the background. So set up working groups, more effective, get working groups going early. Benefits to the owner, they save money, the place is looked after, builds relationship with the council and local community, protects the premises. Many benefits to the council, it really has created a lot of engagement more. It's kind of a bridge sometimes to help with the council and the people in the local community in the areas. I'll tell you a few stories maybe in a bit, but it increases footfall to areas. We want to do proper survey and date this properly, but the property manager that we helped link in with Swindon got given an old, River Island. He said to us that they've increased the footfall to all the other shops in Swindon because they gave this River Island Swindon Community Hub for about 20 community groups, only about 4 environment groups, but they've packed it with self-employed markets, talks, workshops, reggae nights, old people's activities, youth, young people's activities, local groups coming in doing talks, workshops, exhibitions on all sorts of stuff. So there's a lot of benefits there, really. It's a win-win situation for the council, the property owner and the community. And, we need to tell more stories and these anecdotes and the narratives of these great successes that happen. But there's benefits to the team involved. You're generating income streams for projects, you've got events, you've got space hire, cafes. You can share resources and skills with yourselves and other organisations. It provides spaces for the community and builds community resilience. There's a lot of amazing, I call these buildings like motherships, basically, for many other projects to set up, basically. Here's just an idea of some of the different groups that could come together in an alliance in your town. Many different groups. What we find is that 50% of the groups in town maybe know each other already. We've got an impressive alliance of 20 odd people and groups that come together here tonight from Rugby. Well done to Alex and all the networkers on this one. And there's so many different groups that could use these spaces. So there's a few examples just around there. You can read around the screen. These are some of the network resources we have from a website on the far left, climateemergencycentre.co.uk. Have a look around. Every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we do a Zoom, network support team Zoom. And sometimes, a lot we've been doing recently, talks and presentations. We've got a guy talking this Wednesday, Graham Boyd, about creating regenerative economy, I think. I'll put a link in afterwards. There's a YouTube channel. The charity that I work with is called Space Generators. We set up the first climate emergency centre. One of the things we do is help new groups set up their legal entity and also coach them through negotiating leases and the bits that they find hard and things. So do get in touch with us. There's an email there you can contact. We have a Telegram and a WhatsApp support group and a Facebook there. But I'll put a welcome pack links in at the end of this. Some of the groups wanted this slide put in just a little bit about the income and utilities and outgoing. These are self-funded projects. We fund ourselves through cafes, event workshops, space hire, sustainable merchandise, sometimes grants. Don't get enough grants, should get more, but you want to be self-funded by putting on events and use of space. When you've got a space, it generates funds. You can hire out temporarily, sometimes an office for 50 quid a week to a local group, or you can hire out the main hall for whatever community events, film hire, whatever it is. So sometimes the utilities are a cost. Sometimes you negotiate them as part of the deal with the owners, they pay them. Recently, sometimes they want to organise a cap, they'll pay a certain amount per month. We're trying to get renewable energy packs together to different centres. We've just been donated 50 solar panels. So if Rugby wants 2 solar panels, we will donate them to your new centre setting up. The insurance costs you about 300-400 quid a year for public liability management, liability insurance. There's costs on maintenance. So really try and get builders, electricians, plumbers, carpenters linked in on your network early, get a repairs and maintenance working group. That really helps. We've got health and safety officers who work with us. It's a bit in the handbook, but they could come and visit and help you get health and safety up to scratch. And yeah, I think stuff's all on that screen again through. So on to the next. Need to update again because there's about another 10 groups on here, but these are some of the teams all around the country that are working. Sometimes it's 4, 5, 6 people just started. Sometimes it's, you know, like lots of working groups and things going on. We've had a few articles in the newspapers, good one in the Guardian. You can show that to groups to show them. Again, I need to update this map more, but the red ones were teams that are setting up, and the green ones are physical centres. Leeds has now opened up, Preston has now opened up. New groups, we're talking and coaching in Durham, Rugby, Bournemouth, Truro and Carmarthen. So CEC is a long-term project. Timings. You know, it takes the first 3-6 months to set various things up. So it's a community-based project and support's available through the handbook and some of the links you've seen there. So really, I think we're on to the photo section towards the end of the presentation. Thank you for your love and attention. What do CCs looks like? You know, they're from shops that are empty and vacant and boarded up to thriving hubs. You know, Zero Carbon Guildford there on the left, a very good example, packed with all sorts of talks, workshops, stage, vegan cafe, zero waste shop, electric transport bikes, great displays on insulation, solar panels by a local company. Talking Tree, I could tell that story here. Talking Tree in Staines was one of the earliest, number 3 to set up, and they've been running, I don't know, nearly 1.5, 2 years. They've been given one of the bits the handbooks say every couple of months have a people's assembly, consult what people in the local area want to feed into the centre, but also to the council. And they've now been given 12 grand by the local council in Staines, Spelthorne Council maybe, to do 3 kind of people's assemblies, consultations about what the local people want. And the council has promised they'll take that on board to put into policy into the local council, which is brilliant. On the right, the Swindon Community Hub, as I said, 20 odd community groups and some environment groups. It's increased footfall to the high street. I'll show you a few pictures of it, but brilliant example there. This was the first one in Ilford. I got about 20 photos to the end here, guys. This first one in Ilford. This was a community hub consultation. They hired out the hall from the council, 8 different tables talking about green spaces, women's issues, youth, knife crime, sustainability, you know, community engagement, that kind of thing. When you've got a space, it fills up, you know. Phoenix is a law of space. If you've got it, it'll fill up. Ilford had lots of talks, conferences, workshops, meetings. You know, new transition town groups setting up. This was the community cafe. We had a library in there, all sorts of people. I mean, this was the eco fashion show. So here, really, just a few examples here at the end, guys. just to show you what can be done in a centre. And there's lots more photos I've got to upgrade and put in here, but that was brilliant to see the local volunteers doing the eco fashion show. It's a local youth with a table tennis table. I think the snooker table at Swindon's very popular with the youth. This was an open mic night. Please bring music into your centre. Please have an open mic. It's really important. Music brings people together. Swindon has like reggae nights and things like that. This was 4 local councillors coming to visit. That's myself and Linda on the right, who's our trustee, who is an amazing woman, very strategic, helps advise on getting leases and very good at talking to leaders of councils and owners of buildings. There's a friend who recycles grand pianos, Pianists Without Borders. We had some music nights, different stalls, local youth art event, alkaline festival about getting healthy. But this was Ilford launches a new transition town. One there for you, Alex. Great to see new transition town networks setting up. So we helped facilitate, and I there's a story there for the transition crew. I went to Spitalfields Community Farm, been meaning to go there for years. Yesterday on Saturday, they had a meeting, and the guy told me that the Good Maze Transition Town now has about 50 members. It's going really, really strong. And I was like, that's what it's about. That's what it's worth it. Makes it worth it. This was the guy on the left, Rakesh, who set that up. Bike Powered Film Night. You know, we want to showcase solutions on the high street. So this is recycling computers. We throw so much away. And these guys give us a beautiful quote that really makes it all worth it there. They were called Red Bridge for Education. And they basically recycle computers during the lockdown to give to local kids who couldn't afford laptops. And they gave us that beautiful quote, which really makes it all worth it, you know, and helping lots of groups. This is the beginning of your Climate Emergency Centre. This is Preston doing an outreach gazebo with some leaflets once every couple of weeks in the market square. And it took them a long time. We find if a group doesn't get a building within a year or more, year and a half, it starts to dissipate. So please, everyone, work together as fast as you can. Let's get a building quick as you can. But Preston, they were working away at it for 9-10 months. Local mayor and the leader of the council, Jamie, all shaking hands saying, yes, we want to do it. But then we did a Zoom to the, to the climate policy officer new in the job. And he, within 1 month, he managed to find out the owner of the building that wanted, and they negotiated a lease with our help, and they got in there like within 2 months, and they're now operating as Preston Climate Emergency Centre. Don't know if anyone needs to mute them. Mute all. Right, next one, last few slides there, guys. For you. Just checking whether we got any. Is anyone?
Caroline, can you mute, please?
Yeah, I can. Thank you. So last few slides here, guys. Thank you. Lewis, the opening of the Lewis Climate Emergency Centre with the mayor. Really great to get engagement with the council, the mayors and stuff. They've now been given, after the roof fell in on that shop, they've been given now an amazing listed building, 3 stories in the middle of Lewis High Street. And they got it for a 3-year lease. That's brilliant news. So this is Guildford, Zero Carbon Guildford, much more affluent area, very organised. Ben there, one of the guys setting up, he's a builder, so everything looked really, really good. Great counter and cafe and kids area. A few photos here. You know, this was the opening day, I think, kids area. It really is, one of the themes is about getting old people and young people working together, sharing skills and knowledge. Get excited. Let's get this space open, get many groups doing it. This is electric transport bikes. I just visited these guys today, and Treasure from Trash exhibition, I saw Seaford. They're in an old NatWest bank in Seaford, just along from Brighton, between Brighton and Lewis. Oh, I actually welled up. I don't tell people I get emotional often, but doing 30 years community centres, to see these guys' space, they're the best displays, really lovely people, and they've been there for 1.5 years. Was one of the early ones set up in the NatWest bank, and it's an alliance, Seaford Environment Alliance, they're called. This is Planet Cheltenham Repair Cafe. Last few photos, really. Free clothes shop, very popular. Swindon Community Hub, craft market. Somebody in your intro talked about craft markets. This does actually stimulate the local economy. Somebody starting with a self-employed second-hand upcycled market stall. 2 years later, they're getting a shop in the high street. This is a reggae night at Swindon, all ages, cute kids and drums. That picture is community to me. That's an empty River Island shop, and then you've got all ages of people in there, you know, 6 months later, talking, meeting, chatting, mixing, sharing ideas, helping the local community. Swindon Craft Market, they do quite regular. Swindon generated 12 pounds of donations for Ukraine. One Planet Abingdon and Cafe in the basement. So she's Godalming's Climate Mode Centre. What next? Telford, swap shop things. Climate Mode Centre Portsmouth setting up. Land Climate Mode Centre to link land projects. Basically, the more we can do that, cross-pollinate. So last bit really. Lincolnshire, Earth Links, all the good talks they're doing. Islington Climate Centre. And there we are. There's an email, you can contact us, a website. And so what's to say? You've seen the slides, you've seen some of the method there. There's a handbook, a welcome pack. I will post it in the chat afterwards. Get excited, make something happen. I mean, I didn't really labour it strong enough at the beginning, but we are reaching every environmental tipping point they have been telling about for years. Ice caps are melting, forests are burning, you know, refugees are increasing. See what's happening with roads at the moment. You see the number of wildfires from Canada to California to Australia to you know, it's really getting very, very critical out there. And we are the ones we have been waiting for. We need everyone to get together and cooperate, from councils and governments and NGOs and local business to voluntary groups, to community groups, to environment groups. Please, let's get this together fast and take action every day and focus on solutions. So that's most of the presentation. My name's Phoenix. Thank you for listening. We're here as a network to help each other in the future. Anything you need, we all ask each other, we help each other. And be an active part of the network. Show us the photos as you go along and network. That's it. Over to Alex for facilitating the next stage, or whoever's going to facilitate. Just any questions and answers the next 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever you guys want to do. I'm going to stop the share there. Thank you. And sounds like you've got great alliance already. Over to you guys. Who's going to facilitate or talk questions? Thank you.
All right, well, I'll just jump back in here, Phoenix. So thank you very, very much for that. Thanks for your time today. I know there was a little bit of confusion with yourself. You had to jump in last minute because you thought it was going to be the Thursday. So I appreciate the fact that you made yourself available for doing it. That was really, really fascinating. And I hope that everyone kind of got a flavour of the kind of things that can go on here with these kind of spaces. And I think it's important, again, it seems to be different for all different towns, doesn't it? You kind of do it, you do it to fit the needs of where you live. It's really interesting just to see that we seem to have quite a few sort of business people on here as well. So I think that's really encouraging because, as Phoenix says, it seems that, these kind of things can actually improve footfall in town, because it's something a bit different, isn't it, as well? And it's something that I think people would quite like to see. But that's enough from me, really. I think really just to say, it seems like we're at that first step where we've got a group going, and this is going to kick off the conversation. So obviously, we'll then potentially follow that handbook and look at the different possibilities for buildings and things like that. But I don't want to say too much more at this point. So what we have got is hopefully someone from Rugby Borough Council, whether that's going to be Jerry or Dan, I'm not quite sure, because the council are hopefully, I've heard some very positive, supportive things from people at the council. So I'm hoping that someone will just be able to kind of give us the view from the council and kind of see where they're coming from and what they'd like to see, having listened so far. So who was going to speak next?
I think Dan might be still travelling home from the meeting that I was in.
Okay, are you happy to do Dan's bit?
Well, I'll try, really.
Okay, thanks.
So I suppose the first thing is there is some money about, sitting in a little piggy bank somewhere, and it's how to access some of that funding to utilise for something like this. And I think having a small steering group to actually draw it all together, like Phoenix has talked about at the beginning, to actually start laying everything out and laying that groundwork and possibly looking at a building and starting to put some form of business plan together. If you like, there's no point just turning up to the council and just saying we'd like to do this, because then, if you like, you'll just end up, and it will just be all a load of talking. So it's much better to turn up with some form of proposal. So this has also been recorded. If I can make sure I get the recording, I can make sure that Dan Green gets it, the Deputy Chief Executive, and probably try and circulate it to the Climate Change Working Group as well. So that's all political parties, and they'll get to see what's being discussed as well. The other bit, Alex, is whether we've got everybody's emails and contacts, and we went around at the beginning saying what their skills were. And I don't know whether that, hopefully that's been captured as well, because the work will start to unfold from here. And when you come to the council, it'll be, yeah, we want X, Y, Z. We've identified a building, and I think I'm not going to say yes or no because it won't be just down to me, but certainly you've got friends in the council who would be willing to try and push that forward and try and develop that. But I think going back to Phoenix's point, that first 3 months really setting up the community interest company or charity, whatever, getting a bit of a business plan together, getting those elements and the building blocks lined up, and at the same time behind the scenes, Alex, I think I can be talking, other people can be talking to Dan to flesh this out. But what he'll want to see, and councillors will want to see, is something down in a document with some form of cash flow and budget and what you expect. But there is some money about, so I don't know if that helps or not really, but that would be the process. And yeah, Neil and myself and I know others will be shouting in and doing what we can from the inside.
And Jerry, just to chip in there, because I mean, as I understand it, obviously the council you've got the climate change strategy. Climate is big on the agenda for the council strategy. So the assumption is that, if we can get together a reasonable plan, that shows that it's affordable and that the money's there, that the council should hopefully look favourably, because it should fit in with this strategy that you've got.
Certainly that's what I would see. I suppose the other bit is just I've just moved into this new chairing role of the town centre group. That will be meeting monthly from September. So the initial bit is that the councillors on that group, along with the county council, will be walking the town centre and making notes and doing some work on that in August, and then starting to unpick a load of bits and pieces from that into work streams. And sitting alongside that will be the climate change strategy, and then the town centre regeneration work as well. And I know I've got a meeting coming up fairly soon with Rugby First board, because of course the council fell out with Rugby First. Some challenging situations there, so hoping that ground can be cleared and made a lot clearer about where it wants to go and what it wants to do as well. So there's a lot of things circulating, and the more clarity there is around this particular project and what it wants to achieve, and the rest of it, as Phoenix pointed out in the slides at the beginning, and all those good examples, just for me, just make it a no-brainer, and it doesn't cost the council a lot of money in what it has to invest, and it actually does bring back in empty buildings or whatever else it might be, and that sits along with revitalising footfall and all those other bits and pieces, because some of the other work will take much longer to do really. So that's how I see it. Small steering group, get that stuff together fairly quickly, and then we can sort of start banging the drum from different quarters. And if you like, though I won't sit on the steering committee or anything, is we'll do what we can and feed in what we can. So if you want a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting, I'm sure Neil and myself will quite happily sit into that. Neil's a very experienced planning committee member and sort of tends to know all the ins and outs of the planning committee and what can and what can't be done. But if he doesn't know, he can ask a question of somebody, because he knows a man that does. So we can bring those knowledge and skills to help support the steering group really. And for
that's fantastic. Sorry, someone else about to jump in there.
Just if maybe is Alex facilitating or who's taking notes? Just if people want to say something, maybe stick a finger up, or if you know how to use the reactions thing down the bottom here, you can raise a hand and then you know who's 1, 2 and 3 would like to say anything. Should we just clarify who's taking notes and who wants
I think Carrie
was taking notes?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So much gold dust in this one. Alex, do you want to facilitate? Anyone who wants to?
Yeah, so I was just gonna touch on what Jerry said there. I think, yeah, it's as you say. What I mean, that yes, we will need to kind of put together a steering group in effect, and I'm hoping that's something that will come out of this meeting. Is we'll need that to carry this idea forward. Just to say that it does. You were talking about the fact that we've got the town centre regeneration strategy going on at the same time, and it just really feels like we're at a very kind of interesting turning point in things that are going on in rugby. We've got the climate emergency at the same time as well, so there's opportunities all over the place potentially. I'm just looking at the time. We're almost an hour in, so I'm hoping to open it up to questions and discussions soon. But what I'd just very quickly like to do is just to invite Mark Thomas just to say a few words, because and this is kind of to do with the sort of thing that Chelsea's doing as well. But there has been this sort of parallel discussion going on in various different social media groups in rugby about the idea of setting up something that's a little bit more kind of commercial, a bit more well, I don't know. I'll let Mark describe exactly what he's been sort of working on and thinking on as well, because it's quite interesting, and there are certainly possibilities for sort of like crossovers and things like that. So, Mark, if you'd just like to kind of say a few words about some of the things that you've been doing.
Yeah, thanks, Alex, and thanks, Phoenix, and Joey too. I'll quickly introduce myself again. Yeah, I'm Mark Thomas. I'm actually a local builder. Not really involved in a lot of this really, but I've sort of got a passion for rugby. I was born and bred in rugby. So tonight we're talking about sustainability hub for rugby, but I'd like to try and put the idea out that maybe that we could expand it slightly and add in the creative hub as well to sort of form a lifestyle centre. Because I think the sustainability and creativity, they partner each other, quite well, really. I did have a venue in mind for this, but this is where the problem lies. The venue that I think would be ideal in rugby, it's currently owned by somebody else and has currently got planning permission to be knocked down. So, we all sort of think, well, you could find another venue, and that probably is the case. But the only thing is, I think this venue would have the most impact, the most footfall, and be the best experience. The building I'm talking about is the Brotherhood House. I don't know if you all know it. It's located in Gas Street in Rugby. It's almost in the position of the old market in Rugby, and it sort of faces the John Barford car park. The building is an old building. It was built in 1803, I believe. It started life as a Baptist chapel, and then became like a schoolroom, and then it turned into a community centre. And I believe that in the First World War, the wives and children were writing letters and sending them actually to the trenches of the soldiers. So there's quite a lot of history in that building. So what I'd like to see ideally, it's only a sort of a dream maybe, is that building being kept and turned back into a community centre, which I call a lifestyle centre really, for sustainability and creativity. Now it's actually based on that concept of Fargo, which is Chelsea's idea, because to be honest, I'd never heard of Fargo before. We looked at the building and she said that'd be perfect as a Fargo. So I looked Fargo up. I've been over there, a couple of times, and they've got a great facility over there. So what I was thinking about the building, that it could be split up into smaller areas where like individual businesses could make and sell their goods. You could have a cafe there, and there's also a main stage, you could use for exhibitions and workshops. As far as Fargo go, they do about 25 events a year. So we could probably aim to do the same sort of thing. Making use of the area in front of the Brotherhood House is the parking space owned by Rugby Borough Council, I believe. And over at Fargo, they've put containers that are used as working spaces, so the small businesses can work out them containers. So the sort of businesses that can come out the containers are things like repair shops, like you say, for mechanical and electrical goods, you know, bicycle repairs, like you say, home hire, you know, hiring out drills and paint strippers, you know, that sort of, carpet cleaners, vintage clothing alteration, all sort of comes under that sustainability sort of umbrella, as well as the producers of like art and pottery and jewelry, etc. There's the outside space that could be used for events too. I was sort of thinking of like your recycling and composting type events. I was just thinking, one of the things I've got to be a bit careful of, the space outside is we've got Art at the Alex, which is just down the road, and that could also be incorporated into the project. I sort of almost see the whole project as a enclosing into like a village type sort of, you know, closed off at the front, sort of, you know, just a main entrance, and the same on the back with the car park, but you could allow people to come in from the side, from Alex at the Art, you know, either from the front door or come in through their through their garden to make use of the Art at the Alex too. So I've mentioned the Brotherhood House. I in my mind, I always say it's like the Brotherhood Village, really, which I think is like, it's an alternative experience that I think, you know, people are looking for. It sort of meets the needs of the sort of sustainability and creative quarter. The footfall is one of the main things. It's sort of revitalising an area, you know, for the residents, community, and almost beyond. I think that people from outside, maybe Coventry, the train station's so close that it might pull people in from elsewhere. I think
I'm gonna. Can I just jump in there, Mark?
Yeah.
I don't know. Was there much else that you were going to go into there?
Well, not a great deal, really.
Okay.
Are we running out of time?
Well, no, just I'm aware that Caroline's got a hand up, and there's a few things going on in the chat. So just,
okay.
I mean, it was certainly that your vision is a really interesting vision, and I think it's, you know, that is definitely the kind of thing, you know, that would be something to look into. I think it's important to say, of course, that, you know, we would also be wanting to look at various options as well.
Yes.
But I think, you know, if it were possible to get the Brotherhood House, I think that, you know, that would certainly be an amazing venue. So I think, yeah, that these are the sort of ideas, basically, isn't it, that we need to come up with. And I know, yeah. You know,
the idea. Yeah, I was so keen about the Brotherhood House, really, because it is the footfall, isn't it? And that's what I was worried about in other places, really. If we could create, you know, it's okay having the sustainable hub, but I was thinking, you know, is the footfall going to be there daily, where adding the creative quarter?
This is something that would be analysed, isn't it? You know, so that would be part of the work of the steering group. I'm going to move over to, so I can see Caroline's had a hand up for a little while here. So thanks very much, Mark, for your thoughts and ideas. Caroline, would you like to chip in then?
Yeah, so I used to have a shop at Fargo, so that's why I thought I'd come on and join the meeting. I had one of the shipping containers, and I had it from July last year till May of this year, and I've recently given it up because of the footfall. So Fargo's a lovely place, but lots of people don't know it's there, and it's been going now for 8 years. And during the week, it can be as dead as a dough-nail. It just isn't very busy. Their events do well, their dog fest and their makers markets and those things do well, but it is trying to get people up there, which is the thing. I think maybe Brotherhood House might be a good idea because it's near enough to the town centre and the train station that people will want to go there. But certainly where Fargo was, trying to get people to come in who are in the town centre of Coventry was quite tricksy. So that's what I wanted to say. The shops that did well with the record store, they had vinyl records, they did well. The skateboard shop did well. Some of the street food did well, but it was quite expensive. So because it's quite a student area, a lot of the students wouldn't partake in that because it was a bit too expensive. And they did have vintage clothes, which did all right, but it's very tricksy. I couldn't make a full-time income out of it, so hence I'm not there at the minute. That was all I wanted to say, really.
Yeah. I think that was one of the key things about the Brotherhood House. It was so close to the town centre. I did pick that up when I went over there speaking to the shop owners that, you know, it was a bit far out the town and the parking wasn't the best. And I thought that was the great thing about Rugby, that it's smack bang in the centre and we've got parking. So that was my idea.
I'd agree with that. And it's promoting it because lots of people came into my shop saying, oh, I didn't know you were here. Oh, you're only here when events are on. And one lady lived literally 3 streets away and had never been. And I'm like, it's just getting that out to people, promoting it, however we promote it, that this is what we're doing, or however we decide to do it, whatever we decide being the creative hub. I know in Fargo, they didn't have clothes makers and things like that. They had, was more just arts and crafts is what they were trying to get at. I handmade candles, so that's why I came, and I did workshops there. But I also do workshops at Alexander Arts now. But yeah, it's worth certainly just getting out that footfall, getting to make sure people will go during the week. If you're going to have it as a full-time thing, or do you just have it at weekends when you know you're going to get people up there, I suppose. So that's all I want to say.
Can I just say one other quick thing? That
sorry, Mark, but I just wanted to check, Neil, did you have your hand up there? I saw you wave.
Yeah.
Would you mind if Neil just jumps in for a bit, Mark?
Right, yeah.
To
just echo what Jerry said, you need to get that steering group up and running relatively quickly. So you have a community of interest, which you've gathered today, which is a good starting point. You certainly need to look at a community engagement event. I thought the ones that we were shown earlier were very useful. Because Rugbyians have got to buy in to your concept, your idea. And believing me, that's not as easy as it might sound. There are plenty of venues, large venues in Rugby Town Centre, which are empty. Again, I feel some of the advice we've had in terms of how we can secure those buildings and that the owner still makes an income out of it. Well, I think possibly we might get the assistance from Rugby first in that direction. But I say I would not be overly specific of what you want to do at this point in time. That's for brainstorming sessions when you're sitting down as a steering group.
Lovely. Thanks, Neil. Okay. Michelle, you have your hand up.
Hello, thank you. Yes, it's just something I popped in the chat a while ago because I didn't realise until I saw Sue Briley introduce herself. So hello, Sue. We recently met at one of the Rugby Rotary, the Breakfast Club fellowship meetings, and there are 3 Rotary groups in Rugby that do a lot of things for local charities. Like they are currently working on the committee that runs the music festival. Last year I went out leafleting with them for that, and they are always looking for speakers for their speaker meetings. So when we've got a committee formed, we know a bit more, we've put the meat on the bones. It might be if someone's willing to do that, we've got 3 possible venues for the 3 different Rotary clubs that we could speak at. Okay, and that was it basically.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else want to jump in at this stage? Any thoughts, ideas? Okay, I can see there's quite a bit of conversation going on in the chat, which is fantastic. So thanks for everyone that's contributing to that. I think if there's no kind of sort of burning suggestions or questions at the moment, I mean, I think, you know, clearly the next step, as Neil has said, and I think as Phoenix said, really is to start putting together what we would probably call a steering group. So it's for those people who are interested in taking this project forward. Phoenix, I can see your hands up. Would you like to jump in there?
Yeah, just to say, I was going to put part 2 of the welcome back in there, but you know, you've got an incredible amount of energy in this group, and many different projects you're already working on. It sounds like, from, you know, what speakers already said, there is a number of empty spaces there. This isn't just about any one building. This is about the intelligent reuse of the vacant property infrastructure in all of our towns and cities. Every one of the groups I speak to all across the country can see empty shops and spaces. And if you can get one shop, we say to some groups, start small to medium, and then build up to bigger spaces. Lady in Brighton to me today said, I don't want to start small. I want to get a really big place and really go for it. It's up to you guys what you want to do. It'd be nice, maybe, you know, towards the end of this, we go around the screen again, and it's nice to hear many voices and just any comment, feedback towards the end as we check out, kind of thing, of anything anyone wants to share. It's about getting excited about really making this happen. And yes, the next steps, you know, you need to maybe make sure everyone sends their email to Alex. If you want to be linked up on the Climate Emergency Centre emails, then either post it in the chat for everyone if you want, or direct message me. I will be saving the chat afterwards and send it to Alex if you want to know more about the Climate Emergency Centre network. But you know, get an email list together for this group. Get either a WhatsApp or a Telegram or something your group works well with for this group. Have a physical meeting if you can do that somewhere. Work with groups that would exist. There's probably a hall or a space or a central project you could meet, and have another meeting again, a Zoom in a couple of weeks, or a physical meeting, get together, have a coffee and chat about what you want to do. Try and get a circle of coordinators together and put your vision towards the council and try and accelerate this. We're all here to help each other, but that's most of it really. I'll put the rest of the welcome back in, but if we could go around the screen, and those who haven't spoken want to share anything or any feedback or anything they'd like to see in a centre, or anything they'd like to help with, or any skills they've got, that's useful things. I'll pass back over to Alex or anyone else who wants to say anything. Over.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think we'll do that to finish off, Phoenix. That sounds like a really good idea, just so that everyone's got a chance to just kind of add anything into that. All I would like to just briefly add before I hand over to everyone else is just that, yeah, I completely agree. I think the next step would be you know, an in-person meeting, and then, you know, I think it's just to be really clear as well, you know, Transition Town have kind of brought this group together, but it's certainly not something that Transition Town is capable of doing by ourselves. Okay, then, so that was really the idea behind getting this group together, is then to sort of springboard and get this collaboration going. So that's what I'm really hoping will happen. And as I say, I think it would be brilliant to actually have an in-person meeting, and you know, these tend to be much more productive, I think. But it's been great to see everyone here. So yeah. Can we just then quickly go round, I think, so if I just shout people's names out. So let's go with Becker. What are you thinking, Becker?
I think it all sounds great. It's quite exciting. I don't know if I've got any capacity, but I'd love to see it happening. Yeah, cool. Let's do it.
Brilliant, thanks. We'll go with Mark, just summarising.
Yeah,
that's Mark.
It's all
Thomas,
good, isn't it? Yeah, it's all good, isn't it? It's all progress. So yeah, you know, let's try and get around the table and have a chat and see what we can do.
Fantastic. Nicola, did you want to add anything at this point? Or you've got Anne with you as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it all sounds great. Lots of ideas. What came to mind was there used to be a social enterprise in Rugby that was upcycling furniture. I think working with people with learning disabilities. I donated to them a few times, but they had to keep looking for different shops. I think they've disappeared now. I'm just thinking they could fit in there maybe somewhere if they're still around.
Absolutely, yeah, nice one, yeah.
Got
Carrie, anything to add to the end?
Just quickly, I think it all sounds really exciting, lots of energy in the room. So yeah, let's have an in-person meeting. And I'm just going to quickly say a huge thanks to Alex for facilitating and organising this. And I don't know if everybody knows, but Alex is actually on holiday. He is not at home and he's run this for us tonight. So thank you.
Yes, and my dinner is cooked and waiting for me as well. I can see, Chris, you've got your hand up there.
Can I just say, one of the things I'd like to the councillors here, one of the things I've picked up, and it's in the chat, is how temporary some of the spaces are that Phoenix has been talking about. They're very exciting, sort of big box spaces that you can occupy, but people can take them away from you at quite short notice. If there's any way that we can get something on a more long-term or permanent basis, I think it'll help people commit, because the problem with the store that Kate ran, that Nicola's talked about, is it kept on moving around town trying to find a space, and then there's a lot of energy being used up relocating. You understand what I mean here, Phoenix? I'm asking for perfection. I know it's difficult.
No, key point, can I just have a 30-second throwback on that direct point, and then Alex carry on around the screen. So basically, you get meanwhile leases for 1, 2, 3 years. Sometimes groups are lucky, you get like a 5-year. Sometimes you're on a 1 to 3 month notice to leave. You kind of start with like a 6 month or a year minimum, and then after that, they can give you 28 days, 1 month to 3 months notice to leave. We're currently negotiating with a big property company that's got spaces from Aberdeen to Plymouth, the Carmarthen model, 2-year lease with 4 months notice to leave. But conversation with Dan in Hamilton House, exactly about your point there. We're trying to help groups set up community benefit societies, community land trusts, so that we can get longer term community spaces, restore common community spaces, things. So if we can, in the long term, from shorter meanwhile leases of a year or two, get spaces that we buy back for the community. Long term, that's important.
There's an art space. Well, there's an art space in Coventry that's struggling with not knowing whether it's going to have a building next month. And there's one in Leamington that can't commit to taking part in any arts events because it doesn't know whether it'll still have the lease by the time the event happens. And it's a bit gutting when they still have the lease when the event happens. You know what I mean? You know what I mean.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Chris. Chelsea, I see your hands up.
Hiya, I thought I'd just give a bit more of an insight into the sort of market idea side of things. Obviously, Mark said about trying to sort of tie the two in together. So me and Mark were talking about ideas, and he put forward Brotherhood House, and I said about I'm a local baker, so I attend a lot of craft fairs and see a lot of other artists and makers who are looking for a more permanent space in the town centre to be able to trade from. Obviously, we used to have a market in the cattle market area, which is now flats. I think the same as Mark, it would be sad to see that building ripped down. Brotherhood House, its architecture is beautiful. It's got a lot of history behind it. It's a good space, and I feel like it could be used for something a lot more valuable to the community in the town centre, and it would bring a lot more footfall. I think there are other spaces in the town centre as well where it could also be put. So I started the petition for the idea to show Rugby Borough Council that there was a want for this. So I got about 700 signatures so far, just over. Tried to put forward the idea to local media, the radio, Rugby Observer posted about it. So I've just tried to get the word out there and get other businesses who have like-minded ideas, because I know a lot of people have spoken about this sort of thing before as well, on board. Personally, I'm quite young. I don't really have the business brains to make that sort of thing happen as much as I'd love to. So I've reached out to people like Louise, who's in the group, Chris at Art at the Alex, Vicky Corrigan at the Nest, who runs something like on a smaller scale. So she said about possibly managing, if the project sort of went ahead, that sort of managing the business side of things, because I've just had a little one myself. I couldn't do that. But I think from that side of things with the market, there were ideas for sustainability which could be included, which I guess would make the two go hand in hand, like a pay forward scheme at the cafe where if people were struggling, people could pay for drinks and food up front that people could retrieve if they say couldn't pay for things, especially with the cost of living crisis. I wanted to focus quite a lot on sort of local support groups for new mums, new dads, because I feel like dads do get forgotten about a lot. Mental health being a big support, tackling loneliness in the community, cost of living crisis, all sorts of things, trying to get donations for Rugby Food Bank, offering vintage kilo sales, sustainable recyclable fashion items like handbags, clothing. So obviously I attend markets and craft fairs, so I have quite a lot of contacts on people who would like to be involved in that sort of thing as well. So I just thought I'd put that forward. And then the idea of doing more events like they do outside of rugby in Coventry, say at Coombe Abbey, doing food festivals, outdoor cinema, having somewhere for live music events where we can host them regularly, bingo nights, raising money for charity. RJ Foundation, I've noticed, have done a lot for the community with defibrillators. I'm sure everyone's heard of them. And they recently did sort of like a family fun day raising funds, and they're doing a bingo night at the end of this week. And they seem to get a lot of people involved in this sort of thing. So I feel like raising money for local charities and getting people like that involved would massively help as well.
Brilliant. I love it, Chelsea. And I think you made a really good point there. I mean, you said that you yourself don't have the business skills, you know, and that's the idea of getting a group like this together, isn't it? We've all got different skills. I certainly don't have the skills, you know, half the skills that would be needed to do something like this. So that's absolutely fantastic. If we can just carry on going around, then I think we got up to Louise. Louise, would you like to summarize for us?
Yeah, it's been brilliant for me to sit on this. So one of the things that we are determined to do, so we're holding a meeting on Thursday, which I think some people may be coming to, but I will feed that. So Alex, if we can keep in touch, we'll make sure that I feed that through. What we're trying to do is get all of the stakeholders in one room and agree a better communication path as well, so that when we have ideas like this, instead of us all bouncing them round, we have a clear path of communication. As Jerry says, it's about, if we can't give you the right answer, knowing the person that can. Also working collaboratively. So when a project like this goes behind it, my role will be through the Rugby Collective to get the business owners to show our support. The reason the link with Rugby First is that there'll be a lot that they can do that can show support. And I know that when you're pitching for grants and things like that, it's better, instead of having 3 or 4 individual ones, we need to work together, and our message is stronger and we're more likely to get results. I've also sat on not-for-profit organisations, so, you know, I'm happy to be a board member, but I could probably, through the organisations I've sat on, find good examples of people that could be the board members that you would need for a not-for-profit, the right skill set. And that's the sort of thing that I've been working on the background in my thoughts to help Chelsea with, is starting to talk to the right people so that we can do exactly what we've been talking about here, put the pitch together in the right way to get the answers. So this has been really useful. Thank you. And I hope to be involved in more meetings and really help take this forward.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Louise. I'm going to jump on to Mark Hammond next, please. Mark, we can't hear you. You're on mute. Start. And then I was trying to tell you that you're on mute, and I was on mute as well. So the whole thing was.
So I'll come back to that later. First of all, I thought that it's all very well, you know, we can get this all up and running, but how do we get in, like with all these things? And I've spoken to Alex about this before. How on earth do we ever get in the people that you really want to talk to, you really want to get involved, which actually isn't us, isn't even people who belong to the groups that we belong to, it's everyone else, which is the vast majority of people. But you often find there's a few people who do everything. So, but actually, because this is a much more collaborative thing of a wide range of groups, that in itself helps. That actually pulls in more people to such an organisation to actually keep it all running and actually pulls in more people from a much more diverse background. That would be brilliant.
The high street helps as well, Mark, and what you've just said as well. Being on
True. Well, I'm
Yeah,
not so
general
sure about the
public.
high streets nowadays.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Mark. Can we go to Linda? Is there anything you wanted to add, Linda?
Just that I think it's really important that we all work together and that a committee is set up as soon as possible, because I think we've all got skills that could feed into that, and Rugby First is ideally positioned to help support this kind of project, because it helps in the end all businesses in the town centre. So I'm really excited about it, and would definitely really like to get involved and take it further. But as Louise was saying, really important that we all are working together and are making any applications under one banner, if you like, rather than several different ones. We all need to pull together on this one, definitely.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, you don't want to start fracturing and doing different things. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very important.
We're working together.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Linda. That's really good. Right, just a couple more people to hear from. So thanks for sticking with us. So can we just hear from Anna? Have you got anything to add, Anna?
Yeah, so I think it's a really good idea, and I really like the presentation as well. So it'd be great if we can get the slides for that. I think it'd be great to look over it. And yeah, really looking forward to getting the project started. And if we did get together like a steering group, I think that could be really beneficial as well. And I'm happy to help in that element too. So if there's anything you need on that, do let me know.
Thank you, Anna. That's very kind. Martin?
Hi. Sorry about that. I feel a bit of a fraud, really, because I'm in Leamington Spa, and though I really want to pick your brains once you've set up a hub, really, because we have actually a storage facility we can use now. We've got a big shed. There's now, thanks to a lot of effort, to get solar power into it. So we've got electrical connections, and that was holding us up because we had nowhere in the village, really. So really, it's the mechanism of setting up a hub. I don't think we have the facilities here to do a complete one, but learning from you, how to run a repair shop and things like that. That's the expertise I was looking for. And that's why I attend these. That's why, like the one at Napton was very good as well for that. So really, I'm a bit of an interloper because we don't have any premises. We're not, you know what I mean? It's not the business side of it. That's all taken care of as far as we're concerned. So really, that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin. And that's absolutely fine, of course. And anything that you can do to sort of think of any ideas or any suggestions, or the whole thing is it's all kind of it's a two-way thing, isn't it? So I think we just got to hear from Sue and then Janet finally, and then I think that will be everyone if I'm right. So Sue.
Yeah, echoing what Michelle said about the Rotary, a good source of people with many talents, people like me who will help with washing up or the nitty-gritty, the people you need, from people who organise things, who have ideas. Off the top of my head, our club has links with the Extra Mile charity, Dunchurch Park with the refugees, the hub on the gyratory, who do a time builder scheme, Ben Partnership. Some of us have links with Gita. And it goes on and on and on. And I think there would be a couple of people who might want to be involved in a personal capacity as well. You're pushing on the open door. It's just a question of taking that step. Also, a group I'm involved in who's working to make a local churchyard wildlife friendly. And we've had a lot of input from Warwickshire Wildlife and so on. And that could be a networking opportunity for us. And also Krakatoria, that for years have run a pop-up cafe at Christmas and sell fair trade products. There's a lot going on in Rugby, and it's a question of us all pulling things together and making the first move. And I'm not the person to do it, but I'm the person to be there somewhere.
Well, you're here right at the start, Sue, so you're in the
Yeah.
right place. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, and I think just to echo that, I think you're right. You know, so like we said, maybe the next step now is to get a physical face-to-face meeting, and I think that the idea would be then, if anyone in this group knows anyone else that would like to come along, let's get everyone in that space together, and let's just have a sort of a big, like those photos that Phoenix was sharing, where there's lots of people kind of thinking and coming up with ideas. That would certainly be my path forward. Should we just finish off with Janet really quickly then?
Yeah, sorry, I can't get the video on there. First of all, thanks very much, Alex, for giving up your time, and everyone else. Just two things have come to mind. One is, can we make sure that if we set up that steering group, that there's really good communication between them and the rest of us to feed in ideas and find out how it's going. And the other thing is, with all the craft side of it, what I find is I see things on Facebook, but I'm not on Facebook, and I don't know how to get to actually buy those things. So maybe if we can't have the crafts people there, we could have like an advertising wall, and possibly you could buy things and have them delivered to wherever the building is and collect them from there.
Brilliant. Yeah, some really nice ideas as well. Thank you, Janet. Yeah. I'm just about ready for my dinner. I'll be honest with you. But I mean, I would just personally like to thank everyone for showing up this evening. I've found that really interesting. I hope you found it really interesting and inspiring. I'm looking forward to getting something going. It seems like there's the opportunity there. Everything seems to be in the right place at the right time, right at the moment. Phoenix, did you want to kind of add anything to that?
Yeah, just a quick one, just on housekeeping, next practical steps. I know Sand in there, a possible hand up. I know we're coming to the tail of it. Thank you very much for 90 minutes of your precious time, folks. Next steps are, has everyone given email to whoever's taking notes? Carrie, thank you very much for that. Or to Alex, do you have all 20 emails of people in this group? Set up a physical meeting. Yes, that really helps. Coffee, link up. Get some kind of communication platform sorted, whatever you all agree you like to use, WhatsApp, Telegram, etc. And then maybe you can have a physical meeting in a week or a couple of weeks, another Zoom meeting in another couple of weeks, and move it forward. Get that steering committee together, get some agreements, like people are saying. I loved what you all said, so inspiring. Just to give you a little razzle at the end. Thank you so much. You've got so much energy, this group, and you're more focused and busy-minded. I really want to hear about the heat-resistant garden, if anyone can post that one in, because that's a really important one to come up. But you mentioned loads of groups at the beginning. You haven't posted them in the web link. If you can, that's great. But if not, thank you very much. You've got so much energy. Get a building. You've got councillors who can help you. Let's get it on. We're all here as a network to help each other. You've got quite a few groups around you. I did post in the chat. Save the chat. I'll save it and send to Alex. But use this energy, get excited, go for it. We're reaching all the environmental tipping points. Have fun, have an adventure, get everyone cooperating, focus on the solutions and go for it quick. And you'll be inspiring other groups around you, from Leamington, Spa to Loughborough. Okay, over. Back to Alex.
Amazing. Thanks, Phoenix. Thanks, everyone. I will be in touch very soon. Hopefully everyone's got their email addresses on. I'll send something out and we'll move it on from there. You might not hear from me maybe until tomorrow or the next day. I am on holiday, but I will be sending something out because I don't want to lose the momentum that we've got going on here. Thanks, everyone. Neil, looks like you got your hand up. Unmutes. Can't hear you. Neil.
Yeah. If you can get the steering group up and running,
yeah,
great. Councillors do have an enabling role, and I'm sure Jerry and I will work with you to enable you to do that community engagement you need to do as well. Because we need to take the town, at least the town centre, with us if this is to become a realistic and deliverable project.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Okay then, folks, I'm going to sign off. I wish you all a nice evening. And yeah, I hope we will see you all again very soon, hopefully in person, doing something good. All right then.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for joining, everybody.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Phoenix.
Good
We
night.
wish you all a
Thanks, bye.
happy holiday.
Good to meet you all. Bye.
We'll send you the video in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
Brilliant, Alex. Top networking. Great group.
Thank you, Phoenix. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for joining us. That was I was really, yeah, I was quite, didn't know how it was going to go down, but I thought it went down pretty well. So
You smashed it out of the park. Great alliance already, 20 people. Speak soon.
yeah, thank you. I will